Welcome to this module of the Australian legal system and its profound impact on the accounting industry. In this module, we will explore the evolution of Australia's legal framework, the influence of common law, and court decisions. We will discuss the role of various courts, regulators, and professional bodies in shaping ethical and professional standards within accounting. Our discussion is designed specifically for accountants, accounting students, and professionals working in the financial and legal sectors who appreciate the need for clarity when it comes to legal compliance and ethical responsibility. The foundations of the Australian legal system are deeply rooted in its historical context. Australia, as many of you know, was once under long-standing British rule, and during that era, laws in Australia were closely aligned with those of the British Crown. As society evolved and the nation grew independent, the legal framework naturally progressed to reflect both the heritage of English legal customs and the unique circumstances of Australian society. Today, the system is best described as a common law system, one that rests on customs, judicial decisions, and precedent, rather than solely on codified statutes. This means that the decisions made by judges in interpreting the law form an integral part of how legal obligations and rights are understood and enforced. For accountants, understanding this evolution is vital. The substance of legal principles, from common law to written regulations, directly impacts how businesses are run, how financial records are maintained, and how disputes are resolved. By studying the historical transition from British rule to an independent legal framework, accountants gain a better understanding of why current statutes, regulatory requirements, and ethical codes hold the weight they do today. It is this legal backdrop that makes compliance a matter of professional duty and ethical consideration, both for accounting practitioners and for the businesses they serve. Let's begin by breaking down the main components of Australia's legal system. At its core, the framework includes several branches of law: common law principles, legislated statutes, and judge-made law. The common law remains a fundamental element of our legal system, largely because of its reliance on historical customs and judicial decisions that have stood the test of time. Common law is unique in that it is not necessarily written down in legislative codes, but instead evolves through practice. Judges' rulings, which are based on established legal practices, serve both as authority and guidance. When financial misstatements or breaches of duty occur in the accounting field, it is often these deep-rooted common law principles that are called upon to determine liability and proper conduct. However, Australia's legal landscape is not solely defined by common law. Written legislation in the form of statutes and regulations plays a critical role as well. Statutes are acts passed by the Australian Parliament or state legislative bodies, and they serve to codify rules that have wide-ranging applications, from tax obligations and financial reporting to workplace safety and consumer protections. Regulations, often created under the authority of specific statutes, provide detailed guidelines to help maintain compliance. In situations where the common law might not offer sufficient clarity, these written rules step in to ensure that rights are preserved and responsibilities are clearly outlined. Courts then play a pivotal role in this landscape. In Australia, the system is structured to ensure that disputes are resolved with fairness and legal consistency. From lower courts handling day-to-day matters to the High Court of Australia in Canberra, which serves as the final court of appeal, each court has a defined role in interpreting and enforcing the law. This structure is vital for those in the accounting industry, since accountants not only follow the established financial regulations, but also abide by the outcomes of legal precedents set in previous court decisions. Judges, in their interpretation of the law, add another layer of complexity by creating what are known as judge-made laws. These decisions, often summarized by the Latin term ratio decidendi, the reason for the decision. One illustration of this interplay between legal principles and practice can be seen in how negligence is treated. Consider an accountant who owes a duty of care in preparing financial statements. If, through negligence, that accountant fails to perform due diligence and an error occurs, Society's expectations, as shaped by both common law and judicial decisions, hold the professional accountable. This legal principle is not only about enforcing penalties, rather, it serves as a guide for maintaining professional standards and protecting the rights of all stakeholders involved, including clients and investors. Moving from the fundamental legal principles to the practical elements, let's now explore the role of courts, regulators, and professional bodies in ensuring that these laws are upheld. The courts do far more than simply adjudicate disputes. They help interpret laws, establish legal precedents, and set benchmarks that accountancy professionals must follow. In matters of financial reporting, corporate governance, or allegations of professional misconduct, court decisions can have a long-lasting influence on the accounting industry by directly affecting how rules are applied in practice. Regulatory bodies in Australia, such as the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, SSC, and the Australian Taxation Office, ATO, work tirelessly to oversee compliance with these legal principles. ASIC's mandate, for example, includes ensuring that those involved in financial reporting, auditing, and other financial services adhere strictly to the regulations outlined in laws like the Corporations Act. Similarly, the ATO monitors aspects of tax compliance, ensuring that any financial information prepared by businesses meets statutory requirements. These bodies are not only essential for protecting public interest, they also provide guidance to professionals in the accounting field by outlining clear standards that help navigate the complex regulatory landscape. Further strengthening these regulatory efforts are specialized agencies such as the Tax Practitioners Board, TPB, the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, APRA, and the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC. Each of these organizations plays a specific role, from regulating tax agents and ensuring the soundness of financial institutions to promoting fair trading practices and protecting consumer rights. Their collective oversight creates a balanced environment where legal standards are maintained, while also allowing the accounting profession to operate effectively under a set of clearly defined rules and ethical guidelines. A key aspect of the Australian legal system that has a direct impact on accountants is the development and enforcement of ethical standards. The intersecting realms of law and ethics are embodied in documents like the APS 110 Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants and related guidelines. These standards ensure that accountants not only adhere to statutory obligations, but also operate with honesty, objectivity, and integrity. One of the most critical ethical requirements highlighted in various auditing standards is the concept of independence. The APS 110 Code, referenced in the Australian auditing standard ASA 102, mandates that auditors remain free from undue influence. This focus on impartiality is not simply a procedural formality. It is a central principle that underpins the credibility of the entire financial reporting process. Beyond the immediate implications of ethical guidelines, the legal system also influences how accountants view their roles in relation to different types or classifications of business entities. The distinction between a reporting and a non-reporting entity is central to determining financial disclosure obligations. A reporting entity, typically a larger organization that depends on its financial statements for decision-making by external stakeholders, is subject to stricter regulatory requirements. In contrast, non-reporting entities, which include small businesses or sole proprietorships, operate under a simpler framework since they do not have external reporting obligations to the same extent. Another topic of significant importance is tort law, a subset of common law that deals with civil wrongs. Within the context of accounting, the principles of negligence and negligent misstatement are particularly relevant. Negligence in the accounting field can arise from failing to exercise due care when preparing financial reports, resulting in potential legal claims from third parties who relied on those reports. Similarly, negligent misstatement, where an accountant provides inaccurate or misleading information, can have dire consequences, not just for the client, but also for other stakeholders who depend on the integrity of financial data. One landmark case that illustrates these challenges involved Asanda Finance Corporation and the responsibilities of professionals in preparing audited financial records. In this case, the courts had to balance the accountant's duty to their direct client against the responsibilities owed to third parties, ultimately clarifying the boundaries of professional liability. For accounting professionals, these legal precedents underscore the importance of thorough, precise, and ethical practice in everyday operations. As we delve deeper into the ethical and equitable principles of the legal system, it is important to reflect on how these values guide decision-making processes within professional and business settings. Equity, in the legal sense, is often associated with fairness, impartiality, and justice. In an environment where laws may sometimes appear rigid or excessively prescriptive, equitable principles ensure that decisions are balanced, fair, and considerate of individual circumstances. Such principles are particularly important in resolving disputes where strict application of law might lead to unjust outcomes. For accountants, the interplay of legal and equitable principles means that beyond the technical application of rules, there is a broader responsibility to ensure that financial and business decisions are made in a fair and just manner. Ethical principles, on the other hand, focus on moral responsibilities and the intrinsic values that guide personal and professional conduct. Integrity, accountability, respect, fairness, and transparency are not just abstract ideals. They are the building blocks of trust in the accounting profession. When an accountant upholds these values, they contribute to a system where financial information is both reliable and ethically sound. This commitment is critical, not only for legal compliance, but also for maintaining the public's trust in the financial reporting process. A consistent adherence to ethical standards ensures that decisions, be they related to financial disclosures or advisory services, are made with the highest level of integrity and care. With these principles in mind, accounting professionals are encouraged to take proactive steps in aligning themselves with ethical best practices. One practical way for accountants to further their commitment to ethical standards is by joining a professional body. Organizations such as Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, CPA Australia, and the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants offer not only certification and professional development resources, but also a community that upholds and reinforces these values. By joining such bodies, accountants not only enhance their career prospects, but also send a clear message about their commitment to ethical, high-standard professional practices. As we move forward in our discussion, it is essential to consider the practical implications that the Australian legal system has on various types of business entities. The legal classification of an entity, whether it is a company, a sole trader, a partnership, or a trust, defines the extent of regulatory oversight and the nature of accounting practice required. Companies registered under the Corporations Act, for instance, must navigate a maze of legal obligations that include maintaining accurate registers, complying with detailed financial reporting standards, and following stringent disclosure requirements. Public companies, in particular, have additional layers of accountability due to their access to capital markets and the need to provide transparency to investors. Meanwhile, proprietary companies and smaller organizations often operate under less stringent regulatory scrutiny, yet they are no less important in the overall fabric of the economy. Sole traders and partnerships, which form the backbone of many small business operations, have simpler legal requirements, but that does not absolve them from following basic principles of financial accuracy and ethical reporting. When a sole trader files a tax return or a partnership distributes profits among its members, adherence to legal and ethical standards is just as crucial as it is in larger corporate entities. Trusts and not-for-profit organizations also have their own set of rules and guidelines designed to protect beneficiaries and ensure that resources are managed prudently. For an accountant, being well-versed in the nuances of each type of entity can mean the difference between merely meeting compliance requirements and providing expert, tailored advice that supports the client's strategic objectives. It is also important to recognize that the legal system and regulatory requirements are not static. They evolve alongside societal, technological, and economic changes. The legal framework that governs financial reporting and accounting is subjected to continuous review, with new statutes and amendments introduced as circumstances change. For example, adjustments in tax legislation, updates to financial reporting standards, and even shifts in consumer expectations all contribute to an ever-changing legal environment. This dynamic nature of the law necessitates a commitment to lifelong learning among accountants. Staying abreast of legislative changes, attending continuing professional development courses, and engaging with professional bodies help accountants adapt to new requirements while maintaining high ethical standards. The case of Isanda Finance Corporation v. Pete Marwick Hungerfords, which we mentioned earlier, serves as a reminder of the risks associated with negligent practice. In that context, the responsibilities of accountants were scrutinized in relation to third-party reliance on audited financial statements, resulting in legal clarifications. This is a defining moment that not only clarified legal boundaries, but also heightened awareness about the importance of thorough and diligent audit practices. At this point, it is worth reinforcing our discussion with some practical takeaways on ethical and professional practice in accounting. First and foremost, integrity and accountability serve as the bedrock of both legal compliance and public trust. When an accountant takes responsibility for ensuring that financial statements are accurate and transparent, they are not only protecting their client, but also reinforcing the credibility of the entire financial system. Equally critical is the need for independence in audit practice. Auditors must ensure that personal interests or external influences do not compromise their judgment. Maintaining rigorous ethical standards, whether through adherence to guidelines such as the APS 110 code or through continuous professional development, is essential for upholding the integrity of the profession. Moreover, the role of professional bodies in supporting accountants cannot be overstated. These organizations offer resources, training, and legislative updates that help practitioners navigate the complexities of the legal system. They also provide a forum for discussing best practices, sharing experiences, and collectively advocating for improvements in regulatory frameworks. For those looking to advance their careers and deepen their understanding of legal and ethical standards, engagement with these bodies offers a significant advantage. In essence, becoming a member of a recognized professional organization is not just about ticking regulatory boxes. It is a commitment to ongoing professional excellence and ethical practice. In conclusion, the Australian legal system, with its rich tapestry of common law, statutory regulations, and judicial interpretations, presents both a challenge and an opportunity for accounting professionals. In a field where precision, transparency, and ethical integrity are paramount, a deep understanding of legal principles is more than an academic exercise. It is a cornerstone of professional practice. Courts and regulatory bodies work hand in hand to ensure that all stakeholders, from large corporations to small businesses, operate within a framework that prioritizes accountability and fairness. As you reflect on the content today, consider the implications of legal and ethical standards in your own practice. Recognize that compliance is not merely about avoiding penalties. It is about building trust, ensuring fairness, and ultimately contributing to a robust and transparent financial system. For accountants, the call to action is clear. Invest in your professional development, keep abreast of legislative changes, and actively participate in professional bodies that champion ethical practice. By doing so, you not only safeguard your career, but also enhance the quality and integrity of the broader accounting profession. Thank you for joining us in this comprehensive exploration of the Australian legal system and its impact on the field of accounting. We trust that you now have a clearer understanding of how common law, statutory regulations, and ethical standards converge to shape best practices in financial reporting and compliance. Remember, staying informed and ethically committed is key to navigating the complexities of today's legal and financial landscapes. We encourage you to continue your journey of learning, to engage with peers and experts through professional organizations, and to strive for excellence in every aspect of your accounting practice. Your commitment to these principles not only fortifies your professional reputation, but also reinforces the trust that underpins effective and transparent financial management across Australia. As we close, we invite you to reflect on the vital role you play as an accountant within this legal framework. Embrace the challenges, uphold the standards, and let your work be a testament to integrity, professionalism, and ethical excellence. Thank you for investing your time with us today, and we wish you success in your continued professional journey within the world of accounting and legal compliance.